Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Maverick News channel. It's election night. We'll bring you the latest on the mayor's race in New York City. Also, the federal budget in Canada tabled, and tonight's thumbnail says voters shocked. Indeed. A lot of ups and downs, roller coaster ride in New York City and in other elections across the U.S. tonight. And voters also shocked in Canada at the size of the budget deficit announced in today's budget. Classic Keynesian economics, maybe Keynesian economics taken to an extreme, actually. But is it the recipe for a prosperous Canadian future? We'll dig into that tonight as well. But before we do all of that, when we come back on the other side of this, we will tell you about this UPS plane crash near Louisville, Kentucky. So stay with me. We've got breaking news coverage of this horrific plane crash, UPS. Stay with me.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So our coverage tonight begins with this UPS plane crash at Louisville's International Airport. It caused an explosion, huge, billowing black plumes of smoke. Fire spread nearly a mile. The airport remains closed at this hour. MetroSafe has said reports of an explosion came at Grand Lane and Fern Valley Road in that area. The FAA says the plane crashed around 5:15 p.m. as it was taking off, heading toward Daniel K. International Airport in Honolulu, Hawaii. UPS said there were 3 crew members on board, and injuries have been reported, but not known at this time how many injured or the extent of those injuries. Not clear if we have survivors, all survivors, or any casualties at this point. So I'm trying to get you the latest information. We're going to go live right now to the team at WLKY CBS Louisville. Here we go.
Yeah, so initially it started out with a 5-mile shelter in place around the airport, and then they quickly expanded that to all the way extended north, all the way to the Ohio River. So We're in a shelter in place as we speak.
And we do want to show you this video again from someone who was
Viewer
there
discretion
and kind of
advised.
witnessed this
Some of the
UPS
video
plane crash. I mentioned that we thought initially it was from someone who was on a plane. It was actually someone who was part of a ground crew there. They were able to get some video of when all of this happened. If we can show that video to from the cell phone video from there on the scene when this UPS plane initially crashed. We were able to get some video and kind of see, here it is, when it all happened. You can see a fire, and then here in just a few seconds, you're gonna see the explosion, which you saw a couple explosions when you and Jay during the 5 o'clock news tonight. And several people on social media were saying they heard and felt the explosion when it all happened.
I'm surprised we didn't feel it here. Yeah. That is a massive explosion, and then that plume of smoke just took over everything, and then the subsequent explosions that happened as a result of all that fuel that was on board that MD-11 UPS plane.
Three UPS crew members were on board. We're unsure of their status right now, but we do know, we're told, Mayor Greenberg said there were some injuries associated with this crash. But this crash scene, this site, you can see it right here, is massive. It is a very long crash scene.
And right now, the airport is shut down, folks, so anybody who had a flight out tonight, you're out of luck. Jamie Mays is at the Louisville International Airport for us. Jamie?
Jennifer, Rick, as you mentioned, I'm here at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, and the way I can describe the scene, the atmosphere in here is just kind of the complete opposite of what's happening outside. Calmness. Inside, a lot of people are in here. They're waiting for flights that have been delayed or canceled. Things like you mentioned are pretty much shut down inside. If you could take a look behind me here, you can see the departure and arrival board here. Several canceled flights up here, canceled all throughout these boards, some on time, but of course several just throughout, swipe through canceled flights. You can see that there are several people out here just kind of just waiting. Sitting, waiting for their flights, or just kind of waiting for a chance to figure out what's next with their upcoming flights. But for the most part, it's just pretty calm in here. People are just kind of going back and forth, having seats, speaking with the attendants, trying to figure out what's next for their flights. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Jamie down in the baggage area, it appeared there.
And Congressman Morgan McGarvey just released a statement. It said that he has spoken with the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board, and he will continue to stay in contact with state, local, and federal authorities to get the answers that we're all trying to figure out now how this tragedy occurred.
And once again, Governor Andy Beshear will be giving us a briefing coming up at, was scheduled for 7:30. That might be delayed if he's trying to get some more information to us. But this is the scene out at Louisville International Airport off of Grade Lane after that plane crash with 3 crew members on board. And then that set off the fires out off of Grade Lane and all those industrial businesses. And I keep mentioning the recycling center was there, metalworks facility, and the like.
And we're going to give you a live look now from the briefing room. We are waiting to hear from Governor Beshear and the mayor, who hopefully will provide some updates and some more details as to what happened here at the Louisville International Airport when a UPS plane crashed around 5:15 tonight, shortly after taking off.
And it's
okay. We will keep an eye on that, and we'll come back to that live as that story develops. Breaking news this evening, a developing story, and we will stay on top of it together this evening. We'll also tell you about the death of Dick Cheney. We will dig into this budget here next when we come back on the other side. Don't go away.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So I have one eye on the elections, in particular the mayoral race in New York City tonight. Another eye on the plane crash in Louisville. So there's two eyes. I'm not sure where I'm going to focus my third eye. It's a conspiracy theory. Well, let's start digging into the budget first, shall we? In Canada, huge story for Canadians. This is a milestone budget coming at a critical time in Canadian history. Mark Carney, Prime Minister, tabling his government's first federal budget in the House of Commons titled Canada Strong. The plan calls for major investments in infrastructure and industry to boost economic growth and make Canada more self-sufficient amid U.S. trade pressures and global uncertainty. The budget projects a deficit of $78.3 billion. Now, that seems small compared to the kind of budget deficits they run on the U.S. side, but Canada's population considerably smaller. Anyway, the $78.3 billion announced today, that deficit, and that's for 2025-26, it's more than $36 billion higher than last December's forecast. It then declines gradually to $56.6 billion by 2029 to 2030. Overall, it outlines $141 billion in new spending, offset by $51.2 billion in savings for a net increase of nearly $90 billion. That's a lot of coin. Canada's finance minister, François-Philippe Champagne, described it as an investment budget to make Canada more resilient and prosperous. It includes $32.5 billion in new capital spending over 5 years, with a projected $1.7 billion surplus in day-to-day operations by 2028-29. And key commitments total $280 billion over 5 years, $115 billion for infrastructure, including a new fund for local projects, $110 billion for productivity measures like AI, quantum tech, electric vehicles, and a productivity super deduction, $81.8 billion to rebuild the military and meet NATO's 2% GDP target, and $25 billion to accelerate home building. To offset costs, the government plans $60 billion in operational savings over 5 years, including cutting 28,000 public service jobs by 2028-29. Are you listening? Are you paying attention? He's cutting government jobs, and you think he's not a fiscal conservative? Even though he's spending as a drunken liberal will, or would, and has and does and is, he's cutting jobs too. He is a fiscal conservative. However, Carney is stepping up to the plate, and he is rolling the dice. He's betting on Canada. He's looking at this massive expenditure as an investment in Canada's future at a time when the economy is facing extreme uncertainty because of the changed trading relationship with the United States and a and sluggish growth, if not stagnant growth. So he is trying to kickstart the economy, or as the finance minister said today, supercharge it. This is honestly classic Keynesian economics. It also acts as the tree planting program, aligns medical cannabis benefits with market prices, and returns foreign aid to pre-pandemic levels. And then immigration. I know that's top of mind for many. And on that issue, permanent resident targets will stabilize at 380,000 annually for 3 years, with fewer temporary residents and a focus on economic migrants. A $1.7 billion strategy aims to attract global talent. He has spoken about that, going out and trying to attract and even recruit some of the world's brightest minds, and maybe even steal away some of the brightest minds from the United States in a friendly sort of way. There's also a new climate competitiveness strategy, which the government is saying will strengthen industrial carbon pricing toward net zero by 2050 and offer credits for clean electricity, carbon capture, and critical minerals, and includes incentives for low carbon LNG. Now, see, on that side, that's more liberal, not so much conservative. It provides no update, this budget, on the 2030 emissions target of 40% below 2005 levels. Now, economists note a shift from social supports to business incentives. That's the key here. This is what I'm saying. This isn't about, just spending money on things that are consumptive. This is investing in business, in industry, in labor, in Canada for economic growth. This is a public works project type of budget. It is Keynesian economics, which is to say, John Maynard Keynes advocated for, The Economist advocated for increased government spending during times of economic slowdown on items that would be categorized as investments in the future, infrastructure projects, make work projects, building highways, railroads, in this case, investing in energy, investing in artificial intelligence, things of that nature. Let's go to the House of Commons and pick up a little bit of what the finance minister said today as the budget was tabled, keeping in mind that a budget like this, any budget, becomes a vote of confidence. If this budget doesn't pass, it could trigger an election in Canada.
In factories, in the fields, and in communities across the country, people feel the current economic challenges. Workers are facing fewer shifts, shorter hours, and in some cases, unfortunately, layoffs.
Want to grow, but uncertainty is understandably making them wait. And for many, it feels like opportunity is slipping just a little further out of reach. That's why we need to act, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these are the realities Canadian workers and their families are facing. They are doing everything they can to keep moving forward in uncertain times. And through it all, the Canadian economy has held steady. Forecasters now expect modest GDP growth of just above 1% in 2025. C'est la résilience des Canadiens et des Canadiennes.
The resilience of Canadians is earning us the respect of our foreign partners. It is this same resilience that gives me confidence in the future. This very resilience also gives Canadians confidence in the future.
Trading partner fundamentally reshapes all of its trading relationship. There are two responses, Mr. Speaker. You can slash the deficit, hope for the best, wait for the uncertainty to unexpectedly disappear, and see if it trickles down, ever comes. That approach to balance the budget this year would have to eliminate vital social programs and all the capital investments needed for Canada's future. We chose a different path, Mr. Speaker, a path that believes in Canada, a path that invests in our country's future, a path that reinforces Canadian values, a path that makes us less resilient on our trading partner, a path that allows us to be master in our own house, Mr. Speaker. We chose Canada. This House will choose Canada as well, Mr. Speaker. I hope they will all choose Canada, parce que nous voulons tous et toutes être.
Because we all want to be masters of our own home, Mr. Speaker. We all believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, when our steel, aluminum, forestry, auto, and agriculture industries were hit by U.S. tariff and trade disruptions, we did not stand by and wait for the storm to pass. We stepped in with the most comprehensive set of trade resilience measures in Canadian history, because this is who we are as Canadians, Mr. Speaker. This is who we are. When times get tough, we stand together, because we are Canadian. The government launched the Strategic Response Fund that my colleagues have been leading, allocating $5 billion to help sectors impacted by tariffs to adapt, to diversify, and to grow. Businesses can use the fund to invest in the design of new products, retool plans to boost productivity, or offset the cost of accessing new markets. Because we want our industry to succeed, we want them to be able to make this pivot, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in our workers, we believe in our industry, we believe in our future, we believe in Canada.
Okay, so we're going to go back now to WLKY and that plane crash in Louisville. Here we go.
For the governor and mayor, a briefing there with them. Hopefully we'll provide some more details about what happened when this UPS plane crashed. We're also expecting an airport briefing at around 8:15 tonight with some more details. We know a lot of flights have been, and this is something that's not just going to affect the Louisville airport. This is, as we know, with anything with aviation, it's a ripple effect as far as flights being canceled, and kind of that downhill roll.
And Jay showed us the shelter in place has been extended. It's out towards the outer loop area, and also Jeffersonville Mayor Mike Moore has also issued a shelter in place. And because of that, TARC is not operating tonight. And of course, Jamie Mays showed us out at the airport all the flights that have been canceled or delayed for folks that were trying to get out of Louisville or fly into Louisville tonight.
As we are heading into 7:30 and expecting to hear from the mayor and governor, just want to update you. UPS plane crashed around 5:15 here in Louisville, Kentucky. Shortly after takeoff, UPS just confirmed 3 crew members were on board. They were headed to Honolulu, which from what I can tell was about an 8-hour, 38-minute flight. Injuries are confirmed, but we still are not given any specifics on those injuries.
Hopefully the governor will be able to shed some light on that. And we keep talking about the fuel, 41,000 gallons of fuel on board. So it was full because it had, as you mentioned, a long flight ahead of them headed to Honolulu. And when it hit the structure at the end of the runway, it just exploded like a bomb went off. And that set off a series of additional explosion and fires along Grade Lane.
And we want to give you a look at the mayor's gallery. We are waiting to hear from the governor and the mayor on a press briefing here to give us the latest on this investigation. We do know that the NTSB is leading this investigation now, as they always do when it involves some sort of airline crash. This all, again, happened around 5:15, 5:20 as we were on the air, and we were able to see some of the explosions that were happening. Jay was actually...
Okay, we'll come back to WLKY as the news conference begins, and that is due to start any time. So let's take a little break. When we come back, we'll resume our coverage of today's top news stories after this.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. Back to the budget just briefly. So we talked about this climate competitiveness strategy woven into the budget. It's all about carbon pricing. I noticed that Pierre Poilievre, conservative leader, earlier today, just before the budget was tabled, held kind of a media event, campaign style, really. And one of the things he really focused on when he was speaking today was, it was all about the carbon tax, saying the conservatives are going to get rid of it. I can tell you that when I was listening to him, I don't have it queued up, but it sounded very much like a campaign rally. It was almost like he was in campaign mode. So I'm wondering if they're planning on defeating this budget to trigger an election so they can roll straight into another campaign and attempt to unseat the Liberals in Canada. That, I think, might end up taking us to the polls maybe even before Christmas, or maybe even over Christmas. Who knows? I doubt that will happen, but we will see. Now, one thing that does suggest that this budget maybe has a fighting chance to pass, even though the Liberals have a minority government here in Canada, is a key Conservative caucus member resigned today as this budget came down. Chris d'Entremont has resigned. He's a member of Parliament from Nova Scotia, and he is now reportedly weighing his options. He's looking at possibly even crossing the floor to join the Liberals, to become a Liberal, a member of the Liberal Party and a member of the Liberal government. In fact, I would say he probably has already made up his mind. Oh, maybe he was waiting to see the budget before making a final decision on whether he will actually cross the floor or sit as an independent or do whatever the heck he is going to do. But this puts a little bit of wind into the Liberal government's sails this evening as this budget begins the process, the approval process. It'll be debated, and then we'll see a vote on this, possibly within days, certainly by mid-November. So we will see how it plays out. If it's defeated, We could be going to the polls again, and it hasn't been long since the last election. So we'll see. Very, very entertaining, isn't it? Here's more video of the plane crash in Louisville. Again, viewer discretion advised. This is closer up and very, very graphic. Look at this.
¡Oh, my God! ¡Ay, pinga! ¡Corre para atrás, papi! ¿Viste? Te lo estoy diciendo, Dios mío.
¡Ay, pinga!
¡Ay, Dios mío!
¡Pero qué pinga!
¡Ay!
Vamos a ver.
Papi, cuidado.
Espérate.
¡Ay, Dios mío, señor!
Pinga, hacer.
¡Ay!
Hacer, cojones.
¡Mira la cantidad de gente cogiendo candela, papi!
No, pinga.
¡Oh, my
Vamos
God!
atrás. ¡Ay, pinga!
¡Corre para atrás, papi! ¿Viste? Te lo estoy diciendo.
That is a massive explosion. What would cause them to crash like that? Well, maybe we'll find out if we get more information from this news conference. And there's a stay-in-place order, I guess. Shelter in place. Okay.
Podium, we should be getting underway with our briefing.
Mayor's gallery right there.
Andy Beshear and Mayor Craig Greenberg will be giving us an update on the situation that played out. So it should be momentarily.
Speed from WLKY.
We've gone over their 1 minute warning.
Yes.
Well, we talked to the mayor over the phone shortly after this happened, and he had quickly talked to the governor about all of that. And even at that moment, he didn't have a lot of details. So there's been some time. This happened about 5:15, 5:20. So there has been some time for them to gather details. And that's probably what they're doing right now, is gathering details, talking to officials. And this is still a very active scene at the airport there. As you can see, fires still burning on that massive debris field.
Well, and one of the other problems, remember the Givaudan plant, you know, that was at least contained here on Payne Street. This not only the crash site of the plane, but third of a mile, quarter of a mile of fires that are burning. So
Multiple buildings.
It's just such a wider, coverage area that they got to be able to get to everybody and get the information and to see what is going on and get a head count of the number of employees that were on site.
And we had some video of a building that was affected too, that looked like maybe a wing or the nose of
something
the plane
went right through it, just cut right through that.
We want to check in with Jay real quick while we're waiting for this press conference with the governor and the mayor with the shelter in place. Jay.
Yeah, guys, thank you so very much. So here's the very latest on that shelter in place from the outer loop and points north to the Ohio River and also the Jeffersonville area. If you reside in that colored in circle there, we want you to just stay inside, hunker down, and be sure and shut off the air conditioning and also the heating as well. You don't want to let any of that air that's on the outside into your house. This is from the health department. And actually, we told you about this about an hour and a half ago. Got a call from a very good friend of mine, Dr. Henry Sadlow, who wanted me to pass that on to you folks as well. So again, in that shelter in place, the outer loop and points north to the Ohio River, please shut off your air conditioning and also your heating. Shut the windows, as Jennifer alluded to, until this thing is lifted. Again, the smoke plume has pretty much all but dissipated. Don't see it at all on the radar scan anymore. But boy, guys, some of the pictures and videos coming in from our viewers. Thank you very much to everybody out there for sending in your information. Pretty amazing, just jaw-dropping. The videos, the fireballs from various angles, and also the smoke plume that can be seen for miles and miles and miles.
Good. Well, good evening, everyone. Tonight, you're going to hear from myself, Julie Carr with the Mayor's Office, Jody, the Director of Emergency Management for Louisville, your Police Chief, Fire Chief O'Neill. You're going to hear from your State Senator, Katara Herron, Representative Lisa Wilner, Councilwoman, is also going to join us. We also have representatives from Congressman Morgan McGarvey's office, Senator Paul's office. You have Chief Grimes from Louisville Airport Police, the U.S. Attorney's Office, MSD, KSP, Kentucky Emergency Management, Kentucky Homeland Security, and a number of others, because this is an all-hands-on-deck response, and everyone's contributions are appreciated and will be recognized. At approximately 5:14 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, UPS Flight 2976 from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, Hawaii, an MD-11 with 3 crew members on board was involved in a catastrophic crash here in Louisville adjacent to our airport. UPS will be releasing more facts as available. The National Transportation Safety Board will be in charge of the investigation and will be on the scene shortly. They will be the primary source of the investigation as it continues in the days and in the weeks ahead. I can confirm that there was no specifically hazardous cargo on board of the plane that would create an environmental issue for those around the site, but the impact and where it impacted could create those types of situations. So please, if there is a shelter in place, follow it. Other agencies involved that are at the scene or available: the Kentucky National Guard, Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, the Louisville Fire Department, the Lexington Fire Department, the Bardstown Fire Department, the Shepherdsville Fire Department, Louisville Emergency Management, the Fern Creek Fire Department, Pleasure Ridge Park Fire Department, Fairdale Fire Department, Anchorage Middletown Fire Department, Jeffersontown Fire Department, Airport Police Department, Louisville Metro Police, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, St. Matthews Police Department, Shively Police Department, KSP, Louisville Metro EMS, MSD, Louisville Gas and Electric, Kentucky Emergency Management. Again, we have virtually every single fire, police, and emergency response group that is responding right now to what you're seeing. At this time, we've got some initial numbers, but let me tell you, I expect them to grow. Right now, we believe we have at least 3 fatalities. So I believe that number is going to get larger. We have at least 11 injuries, some of them very significant, that are being treated by local hospitals. Again, I think that number will get larger. There is a victim family reunification center being set up at the Louisville Metro Police Training Academy. That is 2911 Taylor Boulevard. Victim services personnel will be on site and on location for anyone who needs information. The United Way is also offering shelter to anybody that's been impacted. You can call them at 502-376-6617. Updates on the operation of the Louisville International Airport will be shared after we're completed here around 8:15 by a press conference with Louisville Emergency Management. Right now, we believe that the main area hit consisted of 2 businesses, though we know there were more businesses impacted. The first is Kentucky Petroleum Recycling. We are seeking more information, but it looks like they were hit pretty directly. The second is Grade A Auto Parts. Grade A has been in contact. They've accounted for all of their employees but 2, but they do not know how many other individuals, customers, or others could have been on site at the time. Because of the nature of these facilities, it may be some time before we can account for everyone or know that no one else was on the grounds. They're going to provide us with descriptions of the 2 missing employees soon. Again, there's no direct information about non-employees who were there at the time. The radius for the shelter in place has been adjusted. It is now anything north of the airport to the Ohio River. That includes, without limitation, South Louisville, Old Louisville, and downtown. LG&E had some equipment that has been damaged, but they're reporting no major outages at the time. They may, for safety purposes, have to have some outages. Please understand that if that's done, that's to protect you and the people working on it. I've been in direct contact with the CEO of Ford Motor Company. I can tell you that the Ford plant there was not hit, though it has lost power or did lose power for a period of time, but with the number of employees working there, that's a blessing. I've also been in touch with the head of security for the convention center, and everyone is sheltering in place that is there. They have stopped people coming in for the upcoming events for people's safety, and I know they'll be sending out additional information. Anybody who has seen the images and the video know how violent this crash is. And there are a lot of families that are going to be waiting and wondering for a period of time. We're going to try to get them that information as fast as we can, but if this is a family you know, please give them your support. Please give them your prayers. Please give them your love and be with them, because the toughest moments, and I can say it from personal experience, are when you're wondering whether that person that you know and you care about has survived something like this. We do not, at the moment, have the status of the crew. Watching that video, I think we're all very, very worried about them. I'm going to turn it over now to Julie Carr with the mayor's office. Let me say I've talked to the mayor 6 times since this has happened. He was out of town, which was completely scheduled. He is moving heaven and earth to be back, and he will be back. And from somebody who has been out of town when some of these things happened, let me tell you, he is completely and fully on top of it, in communication, and his crew behind me is responding as well as I've seen any group do. And trust me, I've sadly seen a lot of disasters, whether like this or through weather. So I'll turn it over to Julie Carr.
We'll stay with us for just a few moments longer.
I'm Deputy Mayor Julie Carr. First and foremost, Mayor Greenberg has been in constant contact with those on the ground, emergency operations, Governor Beshear, and our federal partners. And he would like me to express that he and Rachel have the victims of today's crash in their hearts and prayers. He is asking the entire city of Louisville to join them in praying for the victims, their families, and our first responders, who bravely rushed to the scene to save people and are still actively working to put the fire out. Our hearts are with those affected by this tragic incident. The mayor's office is working closely with first responders, federal authorities, and emergency management teams to respond and secure the area. The mayor is traveling and is expected to be back in Louisville before 9 p.m. He will be here to update our city as more information becomes available. I'm now going to ask Jody Myman, Executive Director of Emergency Services, to give more of an update.
All right, we're going to hear from Jody in a second. I also have a statement from Representative Morgan McGarvey, who is in Washington, D.C. He says, tonight our community was rocked by a devastating plane crash at the Louisville airport. Representative McGarvey says, my heart breaks for the pilots, crew, and their families, and he's praying for everyone impacted. He's grateful for the bravery of our first responders as they continue their work throughout the night to respond quickly and heroically to this horrific incident. We still do not have complete details on how this tragedy occurred, but I've spoken with the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board and will continue to stay in contact with state, local, and federal authorities to get answers and do what we can to help all those affected. And I know your emergency management director is going to say the same thing, but the thing I left out is do not go to the crash site. You will put people in danger. You will put yourself in danger. There may be people that still need to be rescued. Do not be the reason that the first responders cannot get to them. There are still dangerous things that are flammable, that are potentially explosive at the site. Chief O'Neill was filling me in on that. All of his people and everybody else there are currently safe, but they are trained. The general public is not. So do not go to the site. Director?
Thank you, Governor. So we provided and are assisting currently with on-scene coordination between all the agencies. And initially, obviously everybody can see how big this site actually is. You're not only dealing with the aircraft itself, but you're dealing with several businesses that were affected. Some of those businesses have some issues and some hazards on them that we have to address as well. So establishing that incident management team and that initial unified command between all the agencies that you see standing behind me, as well as the ones that are on site. The Okolona Fire Department was the initial local fire department that was dispatched, and then the city of Louisville was dispatched very recently after that, after multiple calls started coming into our 911 center. But there's 3 phases of this response. It's life safety, it's incident stabilization, and it's property conservation. And we're still in the life safety step in that process. And what I mean by that is we're still going door to door in the area to make sure that every business, every facility, and there's a couple private residences, everybody's accounted for and everybody has evacuated that immediate area. Our shelter in place, we initially did that at a 5-mile radius because the wind was doing some things and pushing the smoke in different areas. And as hot as the fire was, it was kind of creating its own atmosphere and doing really what it wanted to do. So we're working to narrow that. You heard the governor already say that we've narrowed it a little bit, and we hope in the next couple of hours to narrow that as a little bit more. We started to provide initial air monitoring, very close and immediate on site. We continue that air monitoring now. We've got the 41st CST that's on site that's providing that, and they're also providing us some plume modeling that will give us the opportunity, again, a little bit later in the shortcoming to be able to narrow that as well. Like the governor said, stay away from the area. You know, there's a lot of emergency response agencies there, not only from Jefferson County, but our surrounding counties. I can't thank the response enough. But again, we're still in that life safety phase. Instant stabilization, they're doing that at the same time. Like I said, it's a very large area that's been affected by this, and they have to narrow that down and start to go into that area to make sure that they can identify all the future hazards that can present themselves during this emergency. The area that we've got isolated as far as traffic has been done by Louisville Metro Police and our Sheriff's Office. Again, so take a look at those, and please stay out of that. Please stay out of that area so it helps with our life safety and our incident stabilization. We'll continue this as long as we can. They have been able to make some headway on the fire to start to get in there. There were several explosions initially from the site itself, just by some of the hazards that were created by the facilities that it impacted. Like I said, we'll be on site. We'll provide more information as we get it through the night. Thank you.
Okay. Let's
please avoid the area and allow first responders to do the work to rescue, recover, and stabilize that scene. I will also say that in the meantime, before we can have a more formal update, please direct all of your attention to the social media of Louisville Emergency Management for any real-time updates. We will have a family reunification center set up at the Louisville Metro Police Academy at 2911 Taylor Boulevard. There we'll have our victim services unit that will be able to help any families get in contact with anyone they need. Again.
Okay. So the UPS plane crashing at 5:15 this evening. Emergency crew still on scene, still fighting the fire. And at least three people killed in that crash. Presumably the 3 that they are referring to were the crew members on board the UPS plane. And they're saying they expect the number of victims to increase because they have some people that they cannot account for. In particular, at least 2 people from what I believe it's an auto parts company. So I'm thinking it must be an auto recycling yard because they're saying there could have been customers on site. So that sounds very much like an auto recycling facility where people would go in and maybe even pull their own parts from scrap cars on site. So we continue to follow that tonight, and I will be back right after this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So yeah, these elections are happening down in the U.S. The polls expected to close very soon in New York City, where we have this high-profile mayoral race. The three candidates, Curtis Sliwa got the Republican nomination. The Democrat side split because Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York, lost the nomination to Zohran Mamdani, who Trump calls a communist. And it's a kind of, how can I put this? The New York mayoral race in particular is complicated. It's hard to understand some of the things going on. First, I'll show you, well, this is just what the polls looked like earlier today. And as I say, they are due to close very soon. And then we should start to see some results roll in tonight. Mamdani, I think, is still seen as the front runner. Andrew Cuomo has been trying to catch him in recent days. I'm not sure that he's been getting anywhere near enough traction, even with the endorsement that he received from Donald Trump. But it was sort of a half-hearted endorsement. Him basically saying, Trump saying he would rather see a Democrat than a communist. But it didn't sound like he was all that excited about even having Cuomo become mayor of NYC. So we're watching this. And some other fun facts, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Look at this one. I don't know if anybody was aware, but J.D. Vance has a half-brother. And so, yeah, what was that? Half an hour ago, polls closed in Cincinnati. And J.D. Vance's half-brother is running for mayor. He's, says, this is on CNN. He says Democratic incumbent mayor Aftab Purvill and Republican Corey Bowman, half-brother of Vice President J.D. Vance, are facing off for mayor. Bowman, a pastor and coffee shop owner, has never held elected office before, and Purvill is seeking a second term. And that's what they look like. So Bowman is on the right, and that's J.D. Vance's half-brother. Does he look like J.D. Vance? I guess a little bit. I wouldn't guess that they were brothers or half-brothers if I just saw them standing side by side. But when you know, you look at it, I guess you can see a bit of a resemblance. So we continue to follow this story tonight. The polls not quite closed. We're also being told tonight that Abigail Spanberger wins the Virginia governor's race. That's a prediction from NBC News. And It's still early in the evening. And as you can see, the various networks following this, no results yet. I'll show you on the screen. I suspect it'll be sort of, well, no, I shouldn't even make a prediction on what's going on in New York City. So as you can see, the Bronx, Brooklyn, like all zeros at this point. And you have your three mayoral candidates. That's the one that everybody's watching. Nationwide, even internationally. New York City. It's like today's modern day Rome. You know? All right. Let's again take a short break. Gonna come back. Don't go away.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media publish things that simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Well, a very controversial political figure has passed away. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84. Ex-President George W. Bush is calling it a loss to the nation and a sorrow to his friends. Cheney was vice president under President Bush from 2001 to 2009. He passed away from complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease overnight. Cheney was he was also a family man. His family tonight saying he was a great and good man who taught his children and grandchildren to love their country and to live lives of courage, honor, love, kindness, and fly fishing. Cheney also served as President Ford's White House Chief of Staff back in the 1970s and spent a decade in the House of Representatives, then became Defense Secretary in 1989. And as vice president, he was a key architect of the War on Terror, one of the things that made him one of the most controversial political figures in American history, all of that happening after the 9/11 attacks. And he was an early advocate of the invasion of Iraq in 2003. Cheney later became a bitter critic of the Republican Party under, you guessed it, Donald Trump. And he's also remembered because of that accidental shooting of a friend during a 2006 hunting trip. That was a big faux pas. We have this compilation video just marking some of the biggest moments in Dick Cheney's public life. And roll a clip.
I believe you're looking at the next Vice President of the United States.
What evidence can you lay before the world that Saddam Hussein will have the capability to threaten not only his own people, but countries in Western Europe and indeed the United States itself?
We have to be concerned about the potential marriage, if you will, between a terrorist organization like Al-Qaeda and those who hold or are proliferating knowledge about weapons of mass destruction.
I have a gay daughter, so it's an issue that our family is very familiar with. We have 2 daughters, and we have enormous pride in both of them.
Accidents do and will happen, and that's what happened last Friday.
Thankfully, Harry Whittington is on the mend and doing very well.
There has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump.
Yeah. I remember what he did still echoes through time. Still has a huge impact on what's going on today.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so we have reaction from the opposition parties to Canada's federal budget. First up, in the parade of opposition, Elizabeth May, Green Party of Canada. Here she comes. Brace yourselves. Your discretion advised.
Bonjour and hello, everyone. It's Leader of the Green Party of Canada, Elizabeth May. I'm very, very happy to be joined by Mike Morris, former Member of Parliament for Kitchener Centre and future Member of Parliament for Kitchener Centre. But we don't want an election right away. Nous avons lu le budget de 2025. Je suis tellement déçue parce que j'ai mes espoirs pour les choses plus bonnes que ça. Le Premier ministre a dit que les Canadiens doivent faire les sacrifices. Mais dans ce budget, il y a quelqu'un qui gagne et quelqu'un qui perd. And we identified, as we read it, this budget is not about even sacrifices across our country. They're generational sacrifices. My grandchildren lose. This government has decided not even to mention our legally binding Paris targets and has jettisoned most climate programs, including the oil and gas cap. The climate competitiveness strategy, so-called, will create large winners in the corporate sector and create more subsidies for fossil fuels. We cut assistance to the poorest of the poor in the developing world. We do have some good things which we identify in our press release, but let me turn it over to Mike for his comments.
Thank you, Elizabeth. As you heard from Elizabeth, in this budget, there are sacrifices, as the Prime Minister made clear there would be. But those sacrifices are not evenly felt. There are $56 billion in cuts to public services that folks in my community and Canadians across the country rely on. Programs like the Greener Homes program that helps folks to retrofit their homes and save money on their energy bills. Cuts to a dedicated public transit fund. Cuts to planned expansions of pharmacare. What we don't see is the other option of how we could fund generational investments. We don't see new taxes on the billionaire class. We don't see fossil fuel companies who continue to make off like bandits. $30 billion in subsidies they got last year, they're getting a bit more in this budget again. And for that, we are disappointed. We're going to continue to call for more and better.
I want to make it clear that I am specifically asking the Prime Minister to think about the fact that he's not the CEO of a company called Canada. He's the Prime Minister of this country with a minority government. Now is the time to reach out to those of us in opposition parties who could vote for the budget if in negotiations over the next few days we see changes. That's a possibility. It's a real possibility. The vote will be very tight. When we crunch the numbers, it's too close for comfort. And this is the time for a Prime Minister, and I really ask him personally to sit down and talk and find the changes that could be made to where we could cast our one vote in favor of the budget. But that moment is not now. Ce n'est pas possible pour se bouger actuellement de gagner le vote des Verts. Maintenant, c'est impossible. Mais peut-être avec les négociations, il sera possible. Mais c'est pour le Premier ministre de décider.
Vous avez besoin pour voter pour ce budget?
C'est essentiel d'avoir les programmes qui aident les pauvres, qui aident les personnes dans la classe moyenne.
See who we have up next. We have the leader of the bloc. Here we go. If he speaks in English, should. I hope so. Let's see if we can get some English from him. Maybe not. No English, just French. Okay. I think we're going to pivot over to the Conservatives here then. Here we
go. Well, today we have the first budget at the federal level in 18 months, and I want to contextualize it a little bit. Canadians are facing serious economic pressures from coast to coast to coast. We have skyrocketing prices in groceries and rent, and housing as an ownership proposition is simply out of the question for too many people. We have unemployment at 10-year highs, particularly hard for young people, where 1 in 6 young people is out of work, and many more than that are underemployed. Economic growth is weak, and of course we face serious problems from south of the border. So it is in that context that we're evaluating this budget today. I can tell you that New Democrats are going to take the time to study this budget. We're going to consult with stakeholders. We're going to talk to Canadians, particularly working Canadians, and review this budget to see if this budget passes our lens of whether it works for working Canadians. So I'll happy to take any questions you may have.
Is this an austerity budget?
It's hard to tell at this point. You know, what I'll say is it's got a very large deficit. Spending is up in many ways. There are, some record investments, but it also is, cutting public services that Canadians need. So this is something that we'll be taking a very close look at.
It's still early, but whipping your caucus on a vote, or will this be a free vote?
Traditionally on confidence measures, parties vote along party lines. So that's the tradition of our party. I wouldn't expect it to be any different.
I know it's still early, but was there any red line there in the budget so far that you've seen that it disqualifies you? I know it's still early stages, but it seems like you're saying we need time to digest it, so there isn't an immediate red line that you said that would disqualify you guys from supporting it.
That's an excellent question. And one of the reasons I opened up with the serious problems we're facing is that there's complex issues that are facing us, and I don't think that we can oversimplify whether policies are going to respond or not. So I'll tell you a few things that we like about the budget. There's $51 billion in infrastructure spending, and that's linked to unionized jobs or community benefit agreements, which requires that work to be done through wage prevailing rates. So that could create good family-sustaining jobs, which has been a priority for the NDP. We talked about, campaigned on, an east-west clean electricity grid. That's mentioned on page 1 of the budget. And there's a specific mention of co-op housing, something that is near and dear to New Democrat hearts and something that we push for all the time. Some of you, none of you look old enough, but the The Cooperative Commonwealth Federation was our predecessor, so co-ops are built into the DNA of the NDP. That's in there. On the negative side, you have 40,000 public sector job cuts. And when you have a jobs crisis, cutting union, family-sustaining, good jobs is the opposite direction of where we want to go. And we have to remember, behind every job is a service. Do Canadians really want to wait 6 months to get a passport? You want to wait 3 months to get a call back from CRA? The seniors want to wait to get their old age security checks? These are the kind of real-life consequences of cutting public sector workers there are. I would also point out that Mr. Carney promised Canadians during the election that he would cap the public sector, not cut it. Second, they canceled the unused housing tax, which was a measure to stop particularly foreign investors from buying housing in Canada and leaving them vacant. So by taxing it, it was driving those units into the housing supply, providing homes for people. Inexplicably, this government has removed that tax, meaning that we're going to go in the opposite direction, and you'll see those housing units taken out of the housing supply. We think that's wrong as well. And there's no digital services tax. This was a measure that the Liberals themselves invented 5 years ago, worked on. It would raise $1 billion a year in revenue, taxing the biggest U.S. tech companies in the world. We're talking Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, on profits over $20 million in Canada. Now, if you have a revenue problem in Canada and you have to cut public services, or you could tax the wealthiest people on the planet, NDP thinks that it would have been a wiser choice to tax those people. So you see there's positive and negatives in this budget, and we're going to take a comprehensive look and weigh it out in the aggregate over the next few days.
A lot less harsh than any of the other opposition parties, I got to say. Are you telegraphing you guys are going to vote for this budget or just be absent on budget vote day?
No, we're just more rational maybe than the other parties are. We're not telegraphing anything. I'm a Jack Layton, New Democrat. We came to Parliament to make Parliament work. We want to be propositional, and we want to give this budget the serious once-over that it deserves. And we want to consult with Canadians. So I think that's what a responsible opposition party does, and that's what we're doing.
You didn't answer my colleague's question earlier. Will you whip your caucus? Just not what's your expectation of how caucus will vote. Will you whip each member of your caucus and force them to vote the same way?
Well, I'm not going to anticipate what we're going to do. We're going to have a caucus meeting tomorrow morning, and we're going to be reviewing each of our critic areas, and we're going to have a very, very thorough discussion, and hopefully we arrive at a consensus. That's always what we try to do in caucus. At the end of the day, we need to move as a united party. That's what you do on confidence measures. You don't vote at cross purposes. You can't have people voting yes and no. Generally, I don't remember ever a free vote on a confidence measure in my 17 years on the Hill, but all options are on the table, I suppose.
Are you maintaining that abstention would be an option, it would be authorized for NDP MPs to abstain during that vote, or following the lines of the party would be to cast a vote?
Yeah, well, so the tradition in our party is that we caucus together and we vote as one unit on confidence measures. But it's also part of our tradition history that sometimes members, for various reasons, can't vote the way that the caucus wants. So instead of voting opposite of caucus, they are permitted, with Whip's approval, to abstain from the vote. So that's also a possibility.
Some of the polling out there is showing the NDP on the rise as the only clear voice for workers amidst a national climate of labor unrest. How are you feeling potentially heading into a Christmas election? Would you feel confident?
Well, I think our message is getting through. New Democrats and I in particular, since I was appointed leader in May, have made it my #1 priority to reconnect with the working class in this country. And I've been dogged on that. We want to be the voice of working people. It's why our party was formed in 1961. By working people, for working people. That is our explicit raison d'etre. And I'm glad to see that message is getting through, and I think that trend will continue.
What do you make of the Carney government strategy? Do you see it as a negative sign that the Carney government has yet to condemn Alberta for using the notwithstanding clause to force 51,000 striking teachers back to work?
Well, you know, we're the party of labor, and I don't like or support any government ordering legally striking workers back to work. And it's been I think, a very, very discouraging and frankly, inappropriate act by the Carney government Liberals to continue to force legally striking workers back to work when it's their constitutional right to strike. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I think Mr. Carney's acting to type. You know, they ordered postal workers back to work, rail workers back to work, port workers back to work, flight attendants back to work who are legally on strike. So ordering teachers back to work when the Conservative Premier of Alberta does it, it's wrong. When Mr. Carney does it, it's wrong. And I would say if Canadians want a government that respects workers' charter rights to strike, they should vote NDP.
Just at first glance, what did you make of the climate competitiveness strategy?
I haven't had a chance to really study it yet in any real detail. But that's something that we're interested in. We want to know what this budget's impact is on the climate crisis. I will note that Mr. Carney is not the Prime Minister who wrote values, I'll tell you. I mean, he was an enlightened capitalist in that book who claimed to understand the climate crisis. But ever since he's been elected Prime Minister, I've seen nothing but regressive moves on the climate. Whether it's, you know, he canceled the carbon tax, then he weakened the EV moratorium. Then he started questioning whether our emissions targets were there. And I did notice one thing in the budget where they're eliminating the greenwashing provision in the Competition Act, which would have reversed the onus and made people who claim that their product or service is good for the environment have to prove that instead of the other way around, namely oil and gas companies who run ads saying that clean natural gas or that kind of thing. That's taken out in this budget, which is definitely a regressive anti-climate move.
Oh, politics! It's a blood sport. It's a tough gig to be prime minister or president or whatever, because everybody's taking a shot at you. There's Don Davies, the interim leader of the NDP, criticizing Carney because he's not the prime minister that wrote values. He's turned regressive. He's no longer a progressive. And yet, if you talk to people on the other end of the political spectrum, the conservative side, if you want to call it that, you know, Carney is under constant attack for being too progressive and too woke. Can't win either way unless you stay within your own political tribe, I guess. Hang on. We'll be right back with Pierre Poilievre.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
All right. So we have this situation where we have a minority government in Canada. They've tabled this budget. It needs to pass. They don't have enough votes on their own. That means they need to get some support from one of the opposition parties at least. What is the situation? So you have a 343 seat House of Commons. A majority requires 172 votes to pass a confidence measure like this federal budget. We have the prime minister. His Liberals hold 170 seats, up from 169 after Conservative MP Chris d'Entremont crossed the floor today. So I guess that is happening. So you've got this Conservative now. He's crossed the floor. He's become a Liberal. Elected as a Conservative, now a Liberal. This means that they're still going to need 2 additional votes from opposition MPs to reach 172. Now, you could have some abstentions. If opposition MPs abstain, 6 abstentions would also work to get that budget passed, because that reduces the effective total to 337. And then the Liberals could get that thing through. Now, you have 143 seats for the Conservatives. The Bloc has 22. The NDP, 7. Green Party, 1. And May, as you heard, Elizabeth May says that they would consider, the Greens, she would consider voting with the government, but she wants a meeting. She wants something. It's time to make a deal. That's the way the Canadian system works. You see, there is no unitary executive power when it comes to something like this budget. Not like you have down in the US of A right now with Donald Trump at his Sharpie signing all these executive orders. Carney just does not have that kind of power. So in a minority government situation, he can't whip his MPs into shape and keep them in line. And he will do that to get them to vote for the budget. But that alone will not be enough to get this thing passed. He needs at least 2 other votes, unless other MPs abstain. So hard to say where it's going to go. I wouldn't hold my breath if you think that he's going to get it any from the Conservative side. Pierre Poilievre, aside from that one that crossed the floor and isn't just voting for the budget. That guy has become a traitor to the Conservatives and now has become a Liberal. Here's Pierre Poilievre saying the Conservatives are not going to support the budget.
Our party wanted an affordable budget for an affordable life. And on behalf of all the Canadians who can no longer afford to eat, heat, or house themselves because of Liberal inflation, we Conservatives cannot support this costly Liberal budget. But there is still time for the Prime Minister to do the right thing. We will put forward an amendment that will transform this policy by making Canada affordable again. It will get rid of the industrial carbon tax, cut the wasteful spending to bring down debt, inflation, and taxes. It will open our country up to opportunity by developing our prodigious resources, clear away bureaucracy to build affordable homes.
That clip prepared by CBC from the House of Commons. Just checking in here. Any results on the election side? Still nothing out of the New York mayoral race. Some people are looking at these elections as something of a referendum, even on Donald Trump. Some exit polling being done by CNN saying that their exit polling indicates Trump not nearly as popular as he wants you to think he is. So it's a pivotal night. You got this redistricting going on in California. You have this high-profile mayoral race in New York City, and I think it could end up being a fairly long night. I'm keeping an eye on it here as we progress through the broadcast. I don't think we are going to be able to cover it to the conclusions of these elections this evening, but we'll keep you informed as we're on here. And I'll tell you, it's especially New York. Politics, complicated. U.S. politics is complicated, not just in the way that the mechanics of it, but also in the actual politics and the culture politics. Case in point, I've seen people posting stuff online with Orthodox Jews, kind of holding them up as examples of, see, even the Jews don't like Netanyahu, and even the Jews are against Israel. These are Orthodox Jews in New York City, and it's maybe, well, it's hard for people, a lot of people to understand why some Orthodox Jews are actually supporting Zohran Mamdani for mayor of New York, a Muslim. Here, I'll show you this clip tonight. Right here. Here we go.
David Feldman, I'm with Natura Carta International. We are standing here on the steps of New York City, City Hall. And we are here while we are unfortunately seeing this terrible intimidation against candidate for mayor here in the city, Mr. Mamdani. And this is disturbing to so many Jewish people. This harassment and these intimidations is about his brave stance to speaking up to what he believes is right, and he is speaking up against the crimes being committed to the Palestinian people. Now, they are condemning him as anti-Semitic because he is against the state of Israel. This is misleading, this is unjust, and this is dangerous. We need politicians to be on the right side of history and to speak up for the oppressed. We as New Yorkers, we as citizens of the United States, we should admire brave politicians, and we should give them the freedom to express what they believe is right. And we encourage people, voters, to vote what is in the interest of our city, and not in the interest of a foreign country, the state of Israel, and certainly not in the interest of crimes being committed the other side of the world. We as Jewish people say that conflating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, conflating Judaism with Zionism is not only doing injustice to the Palestinian people, this is dangerous for the Jewish people as well. Because what this is doing is, this is generalizing all Jews, saying that God forbid all Jews are in support of all these crimes, which ends up making a statement that all Jews are accountable to what is taking place. This is anti-Semitism. And this generalization is racism. This is not done by some people out there. This is done by this movement of Zionism who claims to represent all Jews. In no way does the state of Israel or its actions represent world Jewry, and certainly it doesn't represent the Jewish religion. All that Israel stands for is in total violation not only of international law, but violation of Judaism. This has to be stopped. We urge right-minded people to be brave and to raise their voice.
So what you're seeing there, that really highlights fractures within New York City's Jewish community, the Jewish political landscape. You have progressive secular Jews energized by Gaza sympathy versus traditional Orthodox who fear safety risks and refuse to fight for Israel in a military capacity. And they actually, if you know very much at all about Israel, the Orthodox Jews are given exemptions in many cases so that they don't have to participate in mandatory military service. Instead, contributing to society in other ways through study and keeping Jewish culture alive through their faith and their studies in the most traditional sense of Jewish culture. I'm not Jewish. I am probably butchering a lot of this, but it's hard for people to understand if you're not Jewish. And that is why I'm just bringing it up, because in New York City, it's such a diverse city politically, culturally, and a large Jewish and Muslim communities. And so to see Orthodox Jews supporting Mamdani, and a Muslim, will not seem logical. It'll seem nonsensical to many. Here's Obama. He came out of the woodwork as well in the final leg of the mayoral campaign and other. Where was he campaigning? He was. I just want to make sure that I get this right. So he actually called Mamdani and praised his campaign. Here we go. Just so we get this right. I haven't been following the Obama stuff very closely at all, but it is true. A lot of these, usually presidents, they stay quiet after they leave office, but Trump has sort of changed that. He didn't. He came back, and now it looks like he wants to stick around even longer. Might happen. Here we go. Let's. Here's CBS. Finally got it for you here. No, not that one. This one. This is the one I want to show you. CBS News. Obama called Mamdani and praised his campaign, sources told CBS. Former President Barack Obama rallied with Virginia's Democratic candidate for governor, Abigail Spanberger, projected to win. And on Saturday, a movie is not made for New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, but sources tell CBS News that Obama called Mamdani and praised his campaign in a private phone call over the weekend.
Responsive and honest. It works for the many and not just the few. Then we have to get out there and vote for it.
Abigail.
Welcome back to Takeout. That was a very recognizable figure, former President Obama, rallying with Virginia Democratic candidate for governor Abigail Spanberger Saturday. Something he has not done for Zohran Mamdani. But sources tell CBS News Obama called Mamdani and praised.
Okay, and we know all of that. So we'll just pull that down. Here's this one. I think this might be a little bit different.
Talking to folks just a year ago, I remember talking to folks who would tell me, this election doesn't matter. These are some well-educated, bright, people. They say, whoever the next president ends up being, it's not going to affect me. That's what they would say. If nothing else, the last 9 months should have cured us of that idea. Because the stakes are now clear. We don't need to speculate about the dangers to our democracy. They're here. We don't need to wonder if harm's going to be done to vulnerable people, or whether the public conversation will become meaner and coarser. We're witnessing it. Elections matter, and they matter to you, and they matter to your family. We are being tested, and what is remarkable about America is that it gives us the power as citizens to change this country. We all have more power than we sometimes imagine. We just got to use it. So if you believe in that better story of America, you cannot sit this one out.
Well, we'll see how many sat out and how many went to the polls as the results roll in tonight. Not much in the way of stats results yet out of New York. I'll be right back. Stay right where you are. Don't go away.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Polls still open in NYC. Won't close for another, 18 minutes or so. In international news, Ukraine still targeting energy facilities inside Russia, taking a big chunk out of the Russian economy. Ukrainian forces claim they've hit now a Russian special forces unit stationed on the Sivash oil platform near occupied Crimea. The strike reportedly killed an anti-tank crew and destroyed some recon gear on the rig that Russia seized from Ukraine in 2014 during their initial invasion. They then turned it into something of a floating spy base. Moscow has released a video claiming it destroyed a Ukrainian boat, but Kyiv says the footage shows its suicide drone is actually seen slamming into Russian positions. The platform is part of the Boyko Towers, once used for gas drilling. Let's show you the video. I do need to pull the audio down because they the people who put these war videos together, they add this action music to make it seem like an action film. As a result, a lot of the stuff is copyrighted. Anyway, here's the video. So we'll see this strike. Are you seeing that in the window there? It looks like it's paused. Hang on. It's rolling. We want to see this one. There we go. So this kind of activity, this strategy from Ukraine is having an impact on Russia, on the war. They're trying to hurt Putin right where it counts, right on the wallet. And tomorrow night, we're going to have Mike McCarrick on to bring us up to date on the latest developments in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. There's been a lot since he was on last, so grateful for him coming on to keep us abreast of the situation there. Tomorrow evening, we have this plan to sell a substantial number of Gripen fighters from Sweden to Ukraine. There's even talk of maybe having those fighter jets assembled in Canada. as part of a larger deal, which might see Canada pivot away from the F-35 and purchase Gripen fighters instead of the F-35 in the wake of all of this instability that Donald Trump is unleashing on U.S. allies, including Canada. Also on the military front, we're seeing tonight the military buildup continues around Venezuela, but maybe even more concerning is Russia is now confirmed to be supplying weapons to Venezuela, including air defense systems and more. We'll learn more about that tomorrow evening, I believe, as well. Be digging into that a little bit further. And because of the, I would say, deteriorating relationship between the United States and Russia, you're getting something of an arms race happening. Donald Trump just this week saying the United States is going to engage in nuclear testing again as Putin continues to make these public statements on new technology that Russia has been developing, not the least of which is this nuclear-powered cruise missile that Russia is talking about with virtually unlimited range. What the tactical value of something like that is, I am not sure. The West is downplaying the importance of that weapon. Russia's playing it up, of course. Where is the truth? Not sure. The result of all of this, though, because Donald Trump has not been able to strike a peace deal on the Ukraine front, and you see the ongoing escalation from Putin, is you're getting something of a new arms race happening. So now America's new AI-powered fighter jet, the X-Bat, has been unveiled by Shield AI. It's a next-gen fighter. It apparently flies itself, takes off like a helicopter, no need for a runway. It's powered by HiveMind, the company's custom AI pilot. This thing can also fly, well, not unlimited numbers of miles, but can fly 2,000 miles and has a ceiling of 50,000 feet, and it can carry missiles. Built for combat, launches from a ship in the middle of, well, just any place. And the total cost, just $27 million. That's a whole lot less, though, than one of those F-35s priced at around $100 million. Also, those F-35s very costly to maintain and just fly. So the X-Bat is a reflection of the newest trend in warfare, AI-driven drones. And we've seen that the war in Ukraine has proven that warfare has now become all about drones in many respects, central to any kind of major conflict today. We have video of this new AI weapon, the X-Bat. Let's take a look. Here we go. Bring it up full screen. And there you go. Again, no audio because of music being added for dramatic effect. And that's what it looks like. Man, it does look like something Batman would fly, doesn't it? Makes you wonder what we're really seeing up in the sky when people report drones or UFOs. Could be one of these things. Or something similar, another maybe experimental type aircraft. Looks very cool, also no doubt very deadly. And I would say that is animation, not the real deal. We haven't seen this kind of, rhetoric regarding, research testing since the Cold War between Russia and the United States. I thought Donald Trump was the peace president. Isn't Putin supposed to be his buddy? Why are we seeing these countries ramp up? Arm up. Well, maybe we'll get into that another night. Maybe even tomorrow night. Maybe Mike will have some insight on that for us. Polls closing in 9 minutes in New York City. Let's see if we can maybe dip back into the live coverage there in Louisville. If indeed we still have a live feed coming out of there. Find out what the latest is on the cleanup. You know what? I'll take a little break and we'll come back and I'll see if I can get you the latest information. See if the number of fatalities has changed officially.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, so yeah, really nothing more on the plane crash at this point. Emergency crew still on site, still battling the fire, as far as I can tell, and no update on the number of casualties. One moment here while I just check in on these texts coming in. I see. Okay. All right, I'll review some of this later. It doesn't seem to be anything related to any breaking news. So with that, we're getting near the top of the hour here, almost 9 p.m. Polls closing in New York City. And with that, we're going to kind of wrap things up here for the evening, as we have to. I can't continue the broadcast past 9 p.m. tonight Eastern, and we're only a few minutes away from that. So with that, we will keep our eye on the election results overnight, and then we'll bring you more details and analysis on all of that tomorrow, especially the mayor's race in New York City. The world is watching. The whole world is watching what's happening over there in that community, and we are too. And we'll bring you all that tomorrow night right here on Maverick News, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side. See you then.
I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free. remember me. Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray, but Cosmo's still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his path. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. So if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmos Run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling alone, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. His eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a bird, a heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a word. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.